What's up, everybody? All right, man. So I'm trying to keep this content going, man. Try to pump out these videos. I'm trying to do at least once a week. This week I'm gonna try to shoot for 2. So this one I shortened it down to about 17 minutes, man. I'm gonna keep getting these things shorter because, like I said, I know people's attention span is really short, including mine. If you're gonna watch something, man, you want some good content. You want something that's going to be informative. So today I got how to price yards. Starting out, man, when I first got started a few years back, I had no idea how to price yards. At my previous job as a graphic designer, I was making like $29 and some change an hour. And at the time, I thought that was really good money. And I guess it is, depending on your viewpoint. But when it came to yards, in my mind, if I cut, weed eated, edged, and blew a yard off in 1 hour, and I made more than my hourly wage at my old job, I thought I was killing it. So, for example, this particular yard I'm doing now, I've had ever since I got started a few years back. So, as you can see from the length of this video, it takes me about 17 minutes to do this yard. I'm not editing this yard or this video. It takes roughly about 17 minutes from the point where I'm getting out of my truck to when I get back to my truck. So when I originally quoted it, I quoted it at $40 for this yard, and I trimmed the bushes as needed at no extra charge. Again, in my mind, I was making more than my hourly wage at my old job, and this yard only took 17 minutes. Now, $40 isn't too bad for this particular yard, but a couple of years ago, I had to make a policy change, and I had to give myself a minimum. So I really didn't have a minimum in the beginning, but I didn't have any yards that were less than $40. So for me, I set my minimum at $60. This particular yard fell into that minimum category, so I raised their rate to $60. There was a little pushback from the customer at first, but I had to hold my ground and stick to my policies. You really can't make exceptions in this industry because it will come back to bite you. I've given customers that felt like family to me a price break on different things, and in the end, I was met with being asked to do more work for less money. They want me to do various things, and when I started charging what I knew my worth was, they would shut it down real quick and would get kind of ugly about it. And at first it kind of threw me off because they felt like family. I thought we were like, family. We were friends. Why would they act like I just killed their family pet? When I was just quoting them my worth. So, like I said, do yourself a favor from the get-go. Don't do any price breaks. Don't do anybody any favors. It will come back to bite you so quick. And I think a lot of us, we learn this pretty quickly. So just keep that in mind. So not to keep rambling, my minimum now is $60, and any yard I quote now, I look at and can generally tell about how long it will take me. You have to know what your hourly man rate will be to price these yards. So my hourly man rate is between $90 to $100 per hour. That's how much I want to make per hour when I'm working. So you have to remember, lawn care is a seasonal job. So work will slow down in the winter months. You have to make enough money during the growing season to set aside to pay those bills in those slow months. So that $20 an hour wage I was making at my old job would not work in this industry. It is not going to help me in the long run, because a growing season typically about 8 months. The rest of the 4 months out of the year, it's slow. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's slower. So when you go to quote a yard, look at how big it is. Is there a lot of weed eating, a lot of edging? Are there any hills that will give you a hard time on the mower potentially? Are there sidewalks that would increase the amount of edging? Is it a corner lot? So all these things factor into how long it will take you. I can quote, or I can eyeball a yard now and know about how long it will take me. So if I know it's going to take me alone by myself 40 to 45 minutes, I will quote it at $70 to $75 weekly. If it's bi-weekly, I will add on 10% simply because bi-weekly yards will take a little bit longer to do. So let's break this down so we can see how much I'm making on this yard per man hour. So it takes me 17 minutes. I'm gonna put a little graphic on up here to illustrate what I'm talking about. This yard takes me 17 minutes, and we're going to divide that by 60 minutes, and that gives me this number, 0.283. So then you want to take how much I'm charging for this yard. So that's $60, and I'm going to divide that by that 0.283. And that comes out to $212.01 roughly. So on this yard, I'm making $212.01 per hour. So this is why you have a minimum and why it's important to raise those prices. Originally, I was charging $40. If you do the math, I was making like $141.34 per hour on this yard, which is still really good. But having that minimum put me up $70 more per hour. So if you're just getting started and afraid to raise your prices, I get it. I was the same way. What I did was I honored my service rate for my customer the rest of that year, and going into the following year, I then informed them that I was raising the price. I'll put up a little screenshot of a text that I send my customers. I pretty much just copy and paste it and send it to all my customers, but I'll just change some of the wording on it. So you can copy this if you like, and if it helps you. I know wording things can kind of sometimes be tricky. There is kind of like, I don't know, man, it's just goes back to just being an effective communicator with your customers and providing that good customer service. So just keep that in mind when you are trying to explain things to your customers. Just try to word things. It's not going to send them over the edge, pretty much. But so anyways, I'm gonna stop rambling. Know your numbers and know your worth. That's all I got for y'all. See y'all next time.